Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview covering the LCS Summer 2024 pre-event interviews. For this occasion, I have here with me Captain Flowers, one of the many casters who are going to be taking part in this competition, of course, as broadcast talent. And Captain Flowers, thank you so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate you taking a little bit of your time to just do this real quick before the start of the split. And so, that said, I'm going to do the little obvious initial questions that I do for almost every
All right.
interview. How are you feeling? What's the vibe like? What are the vibes like in the Captain Flowers realm?
I'm excited to get back into some professional League of Legends, man. Like we had the ending of Spring Split, like the finals was on March 31st. And then there was all of April with no LCS. And then there was MSI in May, but we're finally getting close to some more LCS being back. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I'm just trying to get through the next week and a half so we can jump back into it.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's been a good while since we've last seen Captain Flowers grace
Yeah.
the casting side of the broadcast, and take a little bit of a few months to just kind of recharge and just focus on yourself while also doing other things that you want to do outside of League of Legends, if any. What were some of the things that you were doing, in the meantime while you were waiting for that LCS to return to the fold?
So I was still definitely keeping up with the status of how the boys on FlyQuest and Team Liquid were doing out there at MSI. I tell you what, it was a tough tournament early on for us at least. FlyQuest definitely had more struggles than I think a lot of us expected for them in the beginning. But Team Liquid getting that win against Fnatic, like even being able to take a game off of T1, like I was so proud of them seeing that. But for me, since I opted out of participating in MSI myself this year, I spent a lot of my time just sort of getting back into my own stuff with my streaming, doing stuff with the community there. I got involved with a Brazilian community tournament, casting that from my channel. So I got to interact with the Brazilian community, learn a bit more about the different faces and people inside that. And that was a lot of fun. People got really excited for that one. And then I started uploading some of that content onto YouTube now as well. So just kind of doing my own thing. Still, obviously, a lot of it revolves around League of Legends. So it's not like I was off just taking a vacation somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but just sort of focusing on my own stuff and staying sharp, staying ready for when LCS comes back.
Touching a little bit on just the Brazilian side, it's the Brazilian event that you were talking about. Of course, it's a quite an interesting dynamic looking at the emergence of just the popularity of the CBLOL community and Brazilian League of Legends as a
Oh
whole.
yeah.
How have you kind of perceived that kind of fandom and just having to come into contact with that amidst that event, and then how do you kind of like compare that to what you've seen in the LCS so far this year?
So I have nothing but respect for the passion of the Brazilian community, right? Because so many times when you're looking at all these like doomer downer, just like always want to look at things in the most negative possible light threads whenever somebody has a problem with something in LCS or anything else in professional League of Legends. One of the things that they're always going to bring up is, oh, yeah, well, if we can't beat Korea and China, I don't even know what I'm going to get excited for. And then you look at Brazil, and Brazil is a region that doesn't get out of play ins, right? Most of the times they are placing in the bottom part, even in play ins. But that does not matter. Their fan base, their community is so ready at any given moment to cheer for their guys and cheer for their teams and just lose their minds over how cool this stuff is. And I kind of got introduced to the concept of like the CBLOL in Brazil that Baiano puts on, and the contest, like this exhibition type of match that they have where it's like one tricks and streamers and solo queue gods versus actual pro players in just this battle for all the glory back and forth, and how it's this huge community thing. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. And that's the kind of energy that I think not just North America, but the entirety of the competitive LCS or not competitive LCS, competitive League of Legends community needs worldwide. It's just so much fun. They celebrate the wins, but even when they're not getting the wins, they're celebrating whatever they can find. Right? Even if you lose the game, if one guy's getting some crazy outplay in a 1v3 or something, oh boom. That's what everybody's talking about. Everybody's losing their mind over that one. I had so much fun interacting with the Brazilian community.
Yeah, it's very interesting just looking at that and just having to, as you said, look at the popularity of the game in that region while also looking at just the CBLOL's performance on the international side, but it does
Yeah.
feel like it doesn't really matter just looking at the second aspect of this whole dynamic. And that said, now pivoting towards the attention onto the LCS. If
Yeah.
regards what I was just talking about, what do you think is the thing that you feel lacks in the LCS, just community fandom or just kind of interactivity that is very prevalent in CBLOL.
I think a big part of it is just that expectations can be very different between a major region and a minor region, right? Brazil has never been a major region in League of Legends. They have always been a scrappy underdog, but they've never been a major region. North America, being one of the major regions for as long as that classification has existed, is also the birthplace of League of Legends. So whether they want to or not, subconsciously, I think a lot of people are always going to have higher expectations of North America being a major region, being where the game originally was created and proliferated from. And so naturally, they're going to be more frustrated if North America doesn't perform. And especially since League of Legends has been around and it's been so big and it's been around for so long, people just consider, well, they don't consider, they tend to, I think, just lean more towards frustration. And I think that's one thing that, again, because the Brazilian community never had these expectations, it was never like, oh, well, you should be making it to semifinals, you should be making it to finals, you're a top four region. No, Brazil's just taking the wins where they can get them, and they're celebrating that. And that's what I think that North America's actually been seeing a resurgence of in the past couple of years compared to what it was like. I would say probably, if you go back to like the Rona times when everything was remote and there was just generally a lesser feeling of community worldwide over almost everything because of just the state of the world, people have at least begun to get more excited and celebrate the wins that we do get here in North America. Like last year when Energy beat G2 at Worlds, that was like nobody cared that we weren't beating China or Korea. Nobody cared that, yeah, China and Korea were the ones really fighting for the Summoners Cup because we beat G2 and all we ever hear about is how G2 is the best and we smacked them in the mouth. And there was so much positive sentiment around that. And even this past MSI, yeah, it was rough seeing FlyQuest get knocked out in play-in. It's the first time a North American team has failed to make it out of the play-in stage of international competition. But then for Team Liquid to then come back and just shortly thereafter become the first North American team to ever beat Fnatic in a best of five, all of a sudden the sins of FlyQuest are washed away. And Team Liquid has now just given everybody else something more to get excited about. And I'm just loving the fact that I'm seeing more excitement and celebration of the things that are good, even if everything's not perfect.
Another thing that, as you said, or another thing that people are getting excited about when it comes to the LCS, looking at now over to the summer split, it's just a new format. And when I say a new format or a return of best of threes and everything else of the like, and for you not I might be wrong on this, but you might not have been casting a best of threes in a good while. Last time being in 2017, you might have already been casting that. I might be wrong. You can correct me on that. But that kind of then leads to just people voting. Okay, now we have best of threes again. Now there's reason for people to or teams to just have more reps in and just be more ready for the international level. How do you kind of look at that aspect on the broadcast side? And in addition to that, do you believe that the return of best of these can bolster or improve North American teams' chances of just international side or on the international stage? Anything else of the like?
So to start off, I will say that yes, the last time that we did best of threes was my first year as a professional commentator in the LCS back in 2017. So 7 years ago now was the last time that we were doing best of threes. It's been a long time since those days. But it's going to be interesting to see. I am not one of the people who thinks that best of threes are going to be some big magic fix that super levels up the region overnight. I'm also not going to be an eternal hater of them. Now, best of twos is different. I hate best of twos. I think those are terrible. But for best of threes, I'm going to just really be interested to see how much it does change. Because if I had to classify myself, I would say that I am a doubter in terms of the efficacy of best of three. When you look back at like 2019 G2, which I think almost everybody would consider the best team that the West ever created, 2019 G2 was playing best of ones in regular season in LEC, right? So I don't really see the evidence that best of three is going to be the magic fix-all to make everything better, especially since we know the teams are getting a lot of practice and scrims and stuff behind the stage. But again, I could be totally wrong. A lot of people who are analysts who have worked as analysts in the scene have previously been part of coaching staffs or like doing independent analytical work or something like that. I have never been an analyst or a coach in any way, shape, or form, right? I'm a Skarner guy. I talk fast. I bring the hype. So I might just be completely wrong about this. And honestly, if best of threes end up becoming this huge surge in team confidence and team capability, I would love to see that. But more than anything, I'm kind of where a lot of the fans are, where I'm along for the ride and I'm hoping for the most. And I'm just excited to see what it does end up shaking out like.
We seem to be getting over the time, but I want to ask one more question just to squeeze it in, if that's fine with you. Thank you so much. Of course, sticking with the new format, but just looking at the entire year overall, we're seeing a new version of the LCS, with Marks as the commissioner and having to make different adjustments to boost up viewership and just having to reignite just the love and spirit of the LCS and everything else of the like. And so for you, now that we're roughly one split in, and now we're getting ready to get into the second split, how have you kind of viewed the results of the changes to the LCS, be it competitive, broadcast, and then everything else that I kind of have not mentioned so far, and everything else of the like.
I think that 2024 has started off really strong considering the struggles that the LCS faced the previous year in 2023. I was very vocal after I heard that Mark was chosen for the commissioner position, that I think they could not have found a better person to do that. With the absolutely incredible record that he has of doing stuff in esports, in gaming, in production, working with the LCS, right? He's been on the coaching side, he's been on the analyst side, he's been at the desk, he's been as a caster, he's been all of these things involved in pro North American esports. And he's also just worked in content creation, right? He's been an idea man behind the scenes before. The guy has so much experience in all these different things that, yeah, if you're just looking at one individual thing here or there, you could probably find plenty of guys who would be a higher level than Mark at that one thing. But to have the whole package, to have the experience across all of it, and also be attuned to the community and really understand what it's been like to be at the center of the LCS and at the center of this community for so long, I'm really excited to see Mark in the position. I'm happy to see all the experiments and the changes and the things that we're doing differently that we weren't doing before, just to see, like, hey, what is going to make this feel reinvigorated? What is going to light that spark again? I think that you have to be able to take risks if you want to see rewards. That's just it's one of those classic things that has to line up. And I like the fact that we're taking risks, and some things are going to work out better than others. Again, I don't know how well best of three is going to go. I like the fact that we're doing it because we've been doing best of one for a long time. Now let's shake it up. Let's make it interesting. Let's give a reason for somebody who might not have tuned back into the LCS for a couple of years or a couple of splits or whatever to say, oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. I better check that out. So I'm excited. I'm glad we're making changes, and I hope we can continue to innovate and make the show better and more entertaining for everybody who tunes in.
Hopefully, we'll be able to see exactly that, and then some later on down the line. Captain Flowers, thank you so much once again for doing this. Really appreciate you giving me the chance for an interview, and yeah, best of luck goes to you for the start of the split.
Thank you very much, Pedro. It was a nice conversation to have with you. A pleasure to meet you, my friend. And I'm sure I'll talk to you again sometime down the road.
Of course, thank you so much, Captain. We really appreciate it.
See
Best
you.
of luck.